Greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the December 6th, 2025 installment of the Focus Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live or Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy, nice as in the word Saint spelled backwards. And today I got Brother Walk, host of Sex Talk with Walk, Thursday at 9 p.m. and a co-star of the Brothers Johnson show that I believe is on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. We got Sister AB in the house. You know, she'll give us a little intro to herself when we come back to you. We got Brother Afro Agnostic, star of those Afro Agnostic videos on social media. We got Mr. Student X, star of Mutant Politics and frequent guest of Objective Deconstruction. We got infamous El Pooh, star of Spin That Back, which is on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. No Spin That Back today?
No, not today, sir.
That's what's up. So, you know, that having been said, and we got in the ether somewhere is the boss man, Mr. Floyd X.
I'm a boss. I'm not with that. It's never nothing. No.
Get to the get first. Let me just say, welcome to the show, Sister AB. Just give us a little bit of your background. Introduce yourself to the Focus Up family.
How much do you want to know?
Just give me a little taste. Just give me a little taste.
Adrian Henderson, huge.
You just gave up your government. Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, huge sports fan. Living out in Dallas. Grew up in LA. I don't have much to add.
That's what's up. And fitness. Fitness
enthusiast.
There
Absolutely.
You go. That's
all you women in menopause. I feel you. I understand you.
Sister, you got you say you're a huge sports fan. You got a name. Who's your football team?
I'll let my bestie answer that. Who's my sports team?
Yeah, she's in the El Pooh camp, 49ers.
49ers? Okay, let me take her off stage. What? Just playing.
All right, well, welcome to the show. Brother Walk.
I'm a huge supporter. I support the 49ers. I got a nice dog blanket that my dogs use. That is really? Perfect. They love it.
That's what we're gonna do. Okay. All right.
Let's back up.
Oh wow.
Afro Agnostics, what's going on?
I'm good. I'm chilling. Relax.
That's what's up. Afro Agnostics, what's going on with you, son?
Oh man, nothing to it but to do it, flexing and nexing, all that.
Student X live from the dojo. What's going on, sir?
Bro, we have a great litmus test right now as a community, and really, we give our sisters, and rightfully so, a lot of praise, and I feel like it's on them. Are y'all really, and are we really gonna let this Sister Candace Owens out to dry just because we might have some differences on ideologies, and I mean, are we gonna just come together and be like, hey, hands off Candace, no matter what and no matter who? You know what I mean? But this is a litmus test. I best believe the world is watching. Best believe.
Mr. Floyd X.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, sir?
Hey, well, to continue it on, Miss Candace Owen, I'm just messing around. No, I'm chilling, man. I'm happy to be back home. Went to Dallas last week. I was out there with my little sister, and I'm back home trying to set up in the house. I had to get a internet extender so I could be in this back room instead of that cold-ass garage. So we'll see how it go.
What's up? Infamous El Pooh. So, what's going on?
Well, just blessed and happy to be here once again. I might have to cut off a little early today. I got some challenges going on, but other than that, everything is good.
All right, then, brother. That having been said, let's get on to the get then. The first thing up, rest in peace, Elden Campbell, age 57, ex-Laker. He played in the NBA for 15 years. Was with the Lakers for a nice long little stretch, even there with Kobe and Shaq, and he was actually on that Detroit team that beat us. But you know, he tragically died. He drowned. I mean, that's just that's a bad situation. So what you got to say about Elden Campbell, bestie?
No, I just read that his body washed up on shore, and it's just reminds me of Malcolm Jamal Warner. We're just dying so early in these avoidable deaths. This is shocking and sad. You know, it's just can't believe it. Doing something he enjoyed.
Where was it? Was he on vacation also, or what?
I think he was fishing. I'm not sure.
He was found next to his jet ski. Pronounced that, in the early evening around 8:00.
So no life jacket.
But it was a fishing trip that they was on.
Oh, it's just sad. Doing something you enjoy and you die. It's just too soon. We're just dying too soon.
Yeah. And his brother's like 7 feet, so you know it's hard to save a 7-footer. You know what I'm saying? So you got something to say about this, brother? Afro agnostics?
Oh, nada.
That's what's up. Brother Walk. I know you got something to say. Nothing. All right, infamous El Poo, I'll give it to you in closing. Did I give you the opportunity to do next?
Hell no, I sure waiting too, because I'm the diehard Laker fan on the crew first and foremost. You know what I mean? Magic came to my elementary school when I was living in San Antonio, and I became a Laker fan instantly. You know what I mean? And so, and speaking of Magic Johnson, I mentioned Kobe and Shaggy. He came in 1990. When Magic, Worthy, Byron, Perkins, Vlade Divac, AC Green, you know what I mean? It was he was around, the whole time, and he always played more like a real support role, but always solid. I loved him. Elden Campbell was a great player, and essentially he actually, when he got traded to the Hornets, that's how we, how basically that trade led to Glenn Rice coming there, and then ultimately having that dream team, with Rick Fox, Glenn Rice, Ori, Fish, and then Kobe Shaq, of course, you know what I mean? So, but the last thing I want to say about it is that, as a man, it's, if you're going to go out, and especially if it's early, man, let it be something that you was doing that you love, you know what I mean? You was getting, a little radical with it, you know what I mean? And look, that's, I surf, you know what I mean? And so anytime I go in that ocean, your life's in danger. You got wildlife that's there, you could drown, there's all types of situations could happen, you know what I mean? But we're going to go out, like a G, you know what I mean? So, long live Elden Campbell, man. Love that brother.
All right, salute that brother.
Yeah, rest in peace to the brother. But I think somebody needs to look into Puffy. I think he might have had something to do with this.
Ouch. We'll come back to Puffy. So rest in peace to Elden Campbell. Our condolences to his family. Also, we had this mass shooting in Stockton. I mean, these morons shot up a birthday party. You know what I'm saying? And there were some younglings that died in this. So this is an absolute tragedy. We're talking about this all the time. I don't know what to say about it, what to do about it, but condolences to their families. Mr. Student X, you're out there up in that area. You got something particular to offer to this topic?
Yeah. And I'm gonna come like lightweight Trump with it. You know what I mean? For those of us that live around here, man, Stockton is known as a hole. You know what I mean? We don't want to be there. We don't go there. We don't want to pass by there. We don't want to be there at all. You know what I mean? Like as someone who's been around, I wouldn't even interact with people, there much outside of when I was in the mosque. We would go to the mosque and whatnot. It was different because we work in the community. But even then, it just, Stockton's one of those places to where people have driven by it on the freeway, and then a truck driver got shot while he was driving his big rig, crashed all the inside the freeway and whatnot. People have gotten shot just going down the freeway passing Stockton. You know what I mean? No one likes Stockton, and it's like that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it is super sad because when you start learning about the victims, you know what I mean? Like 8-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 21, a 13 wounded. At the birthday party, the owner, man, they just decided to shut it down. They're not going to even open it up. It's going to be, some sort of a monument, moving forward, but, they say the homicide rate dropped, but yet, there's still, this is the 34th homicide, in Stockton. This is a little ass town now, mind you, It's just a shame. I mean, when you start reading the stories, especially of the young ones, I mean, it's just ridiculous. You have to really be careful, where you choose to bring your family and friends around, these days, and it really matters around.
Real quick, we gotta give a shout out to our brother.
We lost you for a second, brother.
Who's the shout out? Who's the shout out to?
The shout out is for the Mad Loc. I was trying to give myself a solo, and I'm pressing the wrong buttons like I'm Mr. Walker around here. All right,
Ouch.
Look. Salute to our brother Maurice X. He's out there with Advanced Peace. He works in Stockton, a community organization called Advanced Peace, where they work to try to quell the violence that goes on in Stockton. So, and a salute to the mosque out there, the FOI, that's it, the mighty FOI MGT out there in Stockton that's trying to prevent all the violence and crime going out there. So there's people out there that's working in the community, trying their best to prevent the crime. And I heard it stated before that nothing good happened in Stockton. And I know they have the lieutenant governor, Jason Lee, is working out there. I know that brother Maurice has worked with him, and they trying to quell the violence that's going out there. So salute to the people that's trying to make it better. Nobody want to see no young children getting killed. And if you go on YouTube, there's people who's telling the story that the media may not know. They haven't found the actual shooters yet, but they're gonna get found.
Still on the loose.
But they're gonna get found eventually because the YouTube know who did it. YouTube know. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be like the DC pipe bomber. Out the blue is gonna be, somebody that's presented to us, you know what I mean? So
there we go.
Apple agnostics, another mass shooting. What you got to say about this?
I think one thing they need to do, man, is just cut off the comment section when they run these stories, because especially when it's involving kids, man, I can imagine like the trauma people reading and people close and friends to the family. They just need to cut that shit off. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some crazy right-wing rhetoric on it and comments and referring to black people as animals and savages and all this type of stuff. But I think that this was a targeted mass shooting. I think somebody knew somebody. It just seemed very personal. I've been involved in stuff. People usually spare kids. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a boundary there. Even gangsters have rules, so this is like very surprising. I haven't seen anything quite like this because it looked like it wasn't accidental, it was deliberate, and that's some crazy shit. It's someone with hate. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some type of right wing, person that's targeting black people, or it could just be somebody that knows them personally over some issues and disagreement. It's hate.
Brother, stop that.
Once you said that the right wing, I knew the student X was gonna jump all over that.
No, because first of all, we live here, but this is not abnormal in Stockton. This is not like something new. You know what I'm saying? Out the blue. And was also not abnormal is there being silence. You know what I mean? And law enforcement not being able to do their job. You know what I mean? That also is not new. So the fact that, like you said, children's been killed, and you have a community that still is a tight-lipped, and won't let the people do their job, to bring the people to justice. That's a shame, you know what I mean? But I know either there's the street code, you know what I mean? And street code is not leading to much success in our community.
You know what?
Okay, but
Did Walk get to speak on it yet?
When he goes blank, I'm assuming that he doesn't want to say something. But go ahead, brother Walk. You got something you want to say about this?
He got a delay.
I've been hearing like has something to do with a rap beef or with EBK and all that. I don't know how much is behind that, but that's just what I've been hearing on the streets. But I don't know other than that. But it's a horrible event that took place. I'm sure they wasn't targeting the kids, but I think it's some people that was in the party.
Street politics is definitely involved. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no doubt. They killed 3 children. And I was just to echo. I think Walk echoed what I said. This type of activity is not abnormal, but the targeting of kids deliberately as it has been described, that is abnormal.
No. What happens in that situation is someone's tucked up real tight, you know what I mean? And then, you know, people can't get to them. And then finally, you know, they know, you know, when they're going to show up, you know what I mean? That's going to be like, they feel like the only time, you know, but they don't, man, this culture don't give a damn, you know what I'm saying? You know, this Killer Cali, you know, and Stockton is, you know, the smallest towns in California, especially up north, have always been where, you know, it's like the country gangsters, you know what I mean? They always the most deadliest. We used to have Fresno's the murder capital, you know, Richmond, you know, which is not, you know, rural, but it's still outside of the city, you know.
I'm not disputing that the homicide rate or, you know, like those type of communities operate. I'm not disputing that. I'm just talking about deliberate targeting of kids, and we know that. We're familiar with those type of problems because they're typical of problems that occur in places that we, you know, can describe as ghetto. But one thing we don't never talk about.
The children weren't deliberately targeted is my only point.
Please let me finish my statement. One thing we don't take in consideration is just like the suburbs have been created by the federal government. We know government involvement in every step in constructing the suburbs. Simultaneously, the government has also built those places that we call ghettos that have, you know, low IPI scores and the real estate low, the value. These things are created deliberately and on purpose. So when we think about,
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree about saying.
Hold on a second.
We never turn around and say institutional responsibility as well. Just think about that.
And AB, you got something you want to say about this?
No, just two things. Now, am I correct? Were there 100 people in attendance, and was this a child's birthday?
Yes. It was a child's birthday party,
and there was about 100 people in attendance.
Yep, and they saw
I'm
that.
Leaning toward.
Go ahead, sister.
Okay, so someone was there that was either there was someone there that was a target, or I'm leaning toward Afro agnostics. What he said, if you're ever on X, you know, former Twitter, the comments you see on there. And I'm just wondering if maybe it was a crazy right winger, because what people are going to assume is it's just black people being black people. It's just, you know, brown people or Mexicans being Mexicans, and no one's going to care. So, I mean, I can see both. I can see both sides.
If I wasn't so, you know, we wasn't so intimately involved in it and here, you know, and trust me, I know of actual facts where what you are describing have taken place. You know, I've been in St. Louis, you know, Detroit, Chicago, you know what I mean? The Midwest is in particular where these things that happen. Hell, Freeway was, you know, directly in contact, you know, with the military, you know, apparatus, you know. So, you know, I know these things go down, but like I said, in this particular situation, the children weren't targeted. They were what you would call collateral damage. You know what I mean? You know, they were trying to get someone. They were in the way. This was just random, you know, trying to get the person they need to get, you know. But in terms of comments, it's not uncommon, you know, damn near anywhere, you know, where there's a large amount of people, you know, with live chat being on, that you'll see some racist comments. But in particular, if it's dealing with the horrors of that, you know, are reflected in the news at times in our community, you know, then you're going to see that it's going to pop in. You know, those people just don't waste the opportunity. You know, that's just how it is. Trolls, if you will, you know, it is what it is.
So in closing, at it too, because it was the majority of the comments.
Yeah. In closing, El Poo, you something you want to say about this?
Yeah, I think it's time for the National Guard to be sent into Stockton. Anything to say about that, Mr. President? I guess
I can tell you that there are members of Stockton, you know, who are definitely calling for more intervention because the community is tired of the carnage. You know, because there are obviously decent people that live in Stockton. They're tired of the stigma. They're tired of the gangs, the cartels.
That's the stupidest thing ever, though. You go spend $1 million to send troops in. Just send resources in. You know what I'm saying? Send jobs in. Send better school quality resources. Community, man. That's silly.
A lot of the resources are taken by illegal aliens.
Oh boy. All right, so let's go on to
come on, man.
Let's pivot to the woman's preacher video reaction. So this sister is giving a sermon, and the issue is what she's wearing. So let's look at the video, and then we'll have a comment about it.
One of the struggles for the believer is the flesh. Many of us would be so much better off if we could ever get our flesh under subjection. Don't do that in the house of God. Now listen, when the flesh wants control, you got to let the spirit rise up and lead you.
Okay, so you see what she's wearing. First, I'm sorry, AB, I got to go with you first on this one. Yeah. You see what she's wearing.
Like I do.
You see what she's wearing.
I do.
Do you think that's appropriate?
I don't think it's appropriate at all. As a woman, I'll just be upfront. I have large breasts, and when I'm in a professional environment, I make sure to not accentuate them. That's just me, because I want people to focus on me, my work. If I'm in her position, I need people to focus on my word and not my, can I say ass? And that's just me. And it could be a generational thing. I'm a 54-year-old woman. So to me, it's not appropriate.
Brother Watt, how you feel about this?
Well, I don't think it was appropriate because those were actually spandex, what she was wearing. But let's just say there was like some slacks. It probably would some tight fitting slacks or female, you know how they wear those like Hillary Clinton type clothing. It probably would have had the same effect because a lot of times Black women are very curvaceous, and sometimes their body becomes part of the outfit without them trying. But to be in church wearing that, and she know how she looks. She knows she looking good up there. And it seemed like she actually got catcalled.
It does sound like that. It does. Yeah. I'm listening to it. It does.
I'm sure if I was in, I'd have been like, "Ooh!" I don't know.
You missed the whole word. You would have missed the whole word.
Alpha Agnosis, what you got to say about that? Appropriate, inappropriate?
I think it was inappropriate, but not like in the moral sense. But in the sense that it would be inappropriate to wear a jumpsuit to a wedding. I mean, I think that's a mainline church. She's promoting certain Christian values, and we kind of have a sense of what those things are. She was actually talking about it in the sermon, referring to the tempted by the flesh, and here you are, wearing something that is tempting the flesh, which I think is very appropriate in another setting, or if that was not a church, if they're not promoting values contraindicative to that, but if they, I don't see anything wrong with the thing in and of itself.
Infamous El Pooh, what you got to say about this?
Well, I don't go to church, so I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I didn't hear what she was saying, but I saw her.
Student next. What you got to say about this?
Let me clear for I don't know if that was Afro, but look, was not a mainline church at all. You know what I mean? Because that's not how a mainline church, how the women present themselves. And, and sis, it's not just you in terms of, what you were promoting and the logic behind it. I think that is just wisdom. I think it's appropriate. I think it's professional. And I really wish that it wasn't a generational thing, because it is a generational thing. I wish that, there was a more in our community promoting, a similar, just a logic and a thought process, in various type of situations. I think it's a wonderful thing. And then lastly, I would say that, she wasn't lying. We as men, we definitely need to have more discipline, more discipline in general, in particular when it comes to the flesh. And we were talking earlier in the show, one of the things that, that I focus on just to have more mastery of self, is regularly fasting. Not only are there, benefits that you enjoy health-wise, but just being able to deny yourself the most basic fundamental of life, which is, a food and substance, when it's a plentiful and around you, it builds the will, and that's something that I think that as men, we should definitely, strive for, is having our will built.
Mr. Floyd X.
Real quick, Sister AB, we have to mute you because you got a background noise. If you could clear away that background noise. But yeah, my take on it, man, is like, I know the Bible says that women shouldn't lead in the church, but I think the church as a whole I think the congregation and the leaders of that church should be like, "Hey, sister, that's not appropriate." Even if she's the pastor, if she was the main pastor, guest pastor, or whatever, if she goes to a church and dressed like that, somebody got to be like, "Hey, that's not appropriate. You can't stand before us talking the word of God, showing your ass all out like that." Somebody got to step up and be like, "Hey, don't do that." But it demonstrates a lacking of leadership and what's the word I'm looking for? Leadership and order, I guess. Order. Lacking leadership and order.
I think you guys are all super repressed. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I don't think it was an ideal outfit. And I think that really Alpha Agnostic's point about, what you'd wear to a wedding, I mean, that's really more of the issue. She seemed very I guess comfortable, as opposed to something when you're preparing to present yourself and stuff like that. So to me, that's more the issue than the exposure of the body. I just feel like the human body is natural. I try not to be too caught up on these things. I think that we gotta have some discipline about ourselves. I get it. I think that's a great argument.
There's discipline, then there's nature.
We got to be better than that. We're not wild animals. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is you see a naked person. That's just a natural thing, you know what I'm saying? But I get it. To me, it's not the great play to do, but I wouldn't be tripping too much. I wouldn't have been oogling her or nothing. I just been listening to what she had to say. Go ahead, Mr. Floyd. What you about to say?
I was just saying that she stands up there as natural as men. You're gonna get aroused in church. That just sounds bad. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get aroused in church because the main character on the stage is looking voluptuous and like, wow. As men. Say that again.
Shame. You had a biological reaction. Your body.
You can't control it. Can you repress arousal?
Look.
Yeah, you can.
How do you repress arousal?
Like I said, but it's called just mastery itself. Managing, becoming like a mastering your emotions. In general, even like when it comes to like, I'm around a lot of beautiful women just in general, and a lot of them don't practice the philosophy that our sister AB, was promoting, which I appreciate, but in those situations, then you're always gonna find me, eye contact, straight up, on a regular basis, and that right there, if you lack the discipline to where you can't hold, eye contact when you're talking to somebody, and just because they are beautiful, then that says something about you.
I disagree.
That sounds good. Go ahead, Walt.
I disagree. The reason why I disagree is because it's a time and a place for everything.
Amen.
Like, come on now. She's at church. See, and this is why
I agree there.
A lot of people have been not going to church is because when they started that come as you are. You see guys in there wearing jeans, and because I remember we had to get suited and booted every time we went to church. Three-piece suit straight up as a kid, and the girls had to wear a dress. Now you just do what you want. You be seeing chicks in there wearing the same thing they just wore at the club last night. Trust me, I know.
I want to ask a question. To the men on this panel right now. Would any of you be okay with your wife going to church dressed the way the sister was with the spandex?
Yep.
Boom.
You would be.
Yep.
Student next.
But no, bro. But I want to marry someone that's how they got down in the first place. You know what I mean?
But Brother Afro.
Like me,
don't blame
like,
Trump either.
I would be upset if she wore a jumpsuit to a wedding too.
Okay. That's all I'm saying, man. For me, it's like somebody got to be the voice of, hey, that's inappropriate. If I go to the church,
that was a different church. Is what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. They be got these like sex cult churches and stuff, weird stuff, man. That probably was in Atlanta somewhere.
That's the attire promoted in that church.
Then
I agree. If that's the attire promoted in that church, then it was not inappropriate. It was appropriate.
Right. Hey, let's go to commercials. Prayer trucking for all your trucking needs. East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast, North to South, South to West. If you want to get something delivered, call the brother. That's the only commercial we play all the way through because the phone number's at the end. So watch it to the end, start a phone number, and then go from there.
That is gobealive.org. Go get you some of that black honey. And if you want to get it in person, go to the Petty Vice in Venice or to the Afro City Marketplace at the Crenshaw Mall.
Peace and blessings. For those of you who haven't come to 2251 Florin Road, Suite 111, and got your issue of the fiberless fava bean pie, you are missing out. These have just come out the oven and they're on their way to the shop right now. So come on through and get your issue of the world's greatest pie. The pie that literally makes you high. Peace and blessings.
Hey.
Is that for Maurice?
No, that's our brother Camille Shabazz.
I recognize that voice.
Hey, that was a long time ago. My bad. That was a long time ago. My bad, brother. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But it probably look good. I tell you that, man.
Yeah.
Look
Hey,
legit.
salute to our brother Camille Shabazz. If you're in the Sacramento area, go to the Florin Square today. They're going to have the African market, and he'll be there with his bean pie. He has a space there at Suite 111. He always got the bean pie, the incense, and the smell goods on deck. Stop by his shop. Salute to the brother Camille Shabazz.
That's what's up. Salute to that brother. So now, are you still playing commercials?
One more commercial. Bar and Lounge, 7123 Franklin Boulevard. Go check them out. Sunday, watch football games there. You can go to today, watch college games. They got a bunch of TV screens, food, drink. Salute. All right, Mr. Nice Guy, my bad.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about Chris Paul. You know, Chris Paul has been like, for a large part of his career, the face of the Clippers, an instrumental person in basically making them relevant and turning them around. In fact, you know, even as a Laker fan, I'll admit that they had a dominant run, at least head-to-head against the Lakers. Not in any way that was important or that mattered, but still, the bottom line is that, you know, he made them credible. You know, he was the person that was supposed to come to us. He went to them, and you know, and he came back for his retirement. You know, this is gonna be my last year, so he was gonna retire with them. And they basically was like, you know what, peace out. So that's how they treated the legend. Adrian, AB, I would love to go to you on this. I don't think you're there, so let's. Hello, are you there, sister? All right. Not in case. So, all right. You know what? I was gonna go to Brother Walk, but he just walked away. So, Student X, what do you think about them doing this? How treating a legend like CP3, you know, just sending a brother home, and they lose it anyways.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to the organization, the fit personnel, and you know, from what you know is being said behind the scenes is that coach, you know, head coach, I should say, Tyronn Lue and Chris Paul hadn't been speaking for several weeks, you know, and so if the head coach of the team, you know, there's a problem with, you know, there's a problem there, you know, and then the days are numbered. But you know, Chris Paul was being charged with being disruptive, you know, and you know, I guess his style, you know, was clashing with how Tyronn Lue wanted to see things, and you know, so unfortunately, I just think it's unfortunate. You know, I mean, that's really all I can say. You know, I don't think that I think he deserves better. I always loved Chris Paul from day one, you know, because to this day, you know, when I think about it, damn near brings me to tears is that, you know, this man's grandfather, who was instrumental in his life, you know, dies on the day of one of his basketball games before he's about to go to the NBA. You know, and this brother goes out and scores the same amount of points that his grandfather was alive for, and then broke down crying on the court. You know what I'm saying? And ever since then, man, I was always a root for Chris Paul. Undersized, point guard in the game, mad respect. And when the Lakers didn't get him out, I was mad as hell. You know what I'm saying? You know that the commissioner, I forget his name back then. You know, Stern.
Stern
did us like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man. You know, I think better, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a good fit. We all go through it. You know what I mean? Even our own jobs and whatnot. You know what I mean? You know, so it happens. But then the brother's gonna land on his feet. The brother's a good brother.
Hey, Walk, go ahead.
Respectfully, the symbolic, he scored the points. So what? He's trash. He's old. Man. It's time to go. Yes, ageism, all about ageism. I am all about that. He's old. He been traveling through the league and he ain't did nothing. He been chasing a ring like the other players did. I forgot. Tracy McGrady was trying to do at the last minute join the Spurs. No, it's over. Carmelo Anthony did the same, trying to get a ring before you leave. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Time to go. Now, he should have been on the Lakers. After that, it was over. Now, the time he spent on the Clippers, it made them good, but not great. I don't want to hear nothing about that. They never won a Western, not even a Western Conference. So don't tell me about his contribution to the NBA. I don't want to hear it. La 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 la.
Damn.
All right, AB, what you got to say about how they treated Chris Paul?
I mean, he's old. You know, Father Time is undefeated.
Born.
I mean, the league. Just add him to the Lakers. Maybe get a ring with Luka. Come off the bench, but it's time. He's old. It's done.
Hey, he wasn't going. Hey, if he was trying to get a ring, going to the Clippers wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? I think he was basically just retiring with the team that he was most identified with. That's really kind of the only argument I got to say, because they're not gonna. They still the bottom feeders no matter what. But again, you got something to say about this, Mr. Floyd X?
Nope, not at all.
El Poo?
Yeah, I think everything has been said about this. Let's move.
All right, so let's move on.
Hey, let's jump to the Diddy. Forget all that world,
exactly.
War of the worlds. Nobody care about the war might go with Venezuela and the drugs being brought to America. Let's talk about P. Diddy and the reckoning. Come on, man.
And before we do it, I want to give respect due to Mr. Walk, who laid the take on Diddy from the jump. And I'm just saying, after watching that video, after watching that documentary, I'm completely team Walk with respect to Diddy. So you were a visionary.
Walk was right.
So, damn, this is historic.
So I'm gonna go with you first, brother, and then we'll come to you, Sister AB. But go ahead, brother Walk. The floor is yours.
I've been saying it before. Diddy is filth. Diddy is human trash. Diddy, I always during his court case, I was like, even though I didn't feel he should have even been charged with nothing, but if they gave him life, I'd have slept real good at night, because that's where he needs to be, in prison for the rest of his life. And I never say that. Me being a former resident of that damn place, but he has no one speaking up for him from his past. Where Mary at? Where Total? Where all these people he worked at? Where Busta Rhymes at? Where's all these people to speak about his character and his integrity? All his artists that he worked with saying that he's trash, they didn't get paid. He been swiping and taking money from them people for years. Biggie moms, come on, bro. This is the reckoning.
That's what's up, Sister AB. What you seen this documentary, correct?
Ooh, that was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm a person that watched the court case, and I said, well, they don't have enough to put him away, for the RICO charge. But after watching that documentary, this man needs to be under the jail for life. This man is a psychopath. He's out there SAing men, SAing women. arranging for murders. This man is a monster, a true alive monster. And to me, another thing that irritates me is how many people were aware of what he was doing, and nothing's come out until after Cassie did what she did. So see, people knew. So I'm just they are deserving of some of the same things that he's getting. They're deserving of some of that same treatment. Because how can you know that this is going on and no one's saying anything?
Yeah, agreed. Afro,
I
what you
totally
got to say
agree.
about this, brother?
And I feel like the documentary was 50 trolling, like it could have been called 50 gossiping, pettiness. I think I didn't learn anything new. I just see his fingerprints, his simple narratives, like he does in Power, all over this. They try to make Diddy to be out this monster. Like, how could it become this way? Is his mama? Is Frank Lucas? Is Harlem? And all of this stuff. But if you really look at 6 of the 10 biggest rap labels out there, 60% of the persons and owners have multiple sexual assault and rape cases. I mean, down the line from Suge, Dre, we can get back to Bambaataa, Russell Simmons, Joseph Simmons. I mean, this is more of the norm than some type of anomaly, but I figured 50 would approach it that way.
Hold a second. You the person that advocates for the victims. These were victim testimonies of a lot of things that's going on about this stuff. You just saying this is just 50 trolling. I mean,
no, that's true. I mean, he is a monster. What I mean is they try to make him to be some unique figure, like he's robbing his artists.
Gotcha.
They all rob their artists. They've all got multiple violent crime cases. It's more of the norm than not. It would be weird if he was not.
Industry rule 2080. I got you. Student X, what you got to say
We
about
just
this?
got a good comment.
This is a historic show because even me and Afro aligned on this one. Now y'all know I don't get I don't be really paying much attention to a lot of this, but this Diddy trial, and Diddy in general, he crossed over because of his ties to Epstein and the ties to the human trafficking in general. He just crossed over into the sector, and so his, like I said, nothing. I didn't watch the documentary, but I don't think I would have learned. It was probably lacking information that is widely known, and accepted. Honestly, but
wait, it was stuff to learn on there. Eric Sherman is on there. Eric Sherman. I never knew he even dealt with Diddy like that. They had, what I'm saying, that video girl. I never knew that story. And she pressed charges, and he's sending around a video of them having sex.
Oh my goodness!
Behind it.
Oh my goodness!
Imagine if that's one of your kids, bro.
But like I said, there's an apparatus that's there, and it extends into law enforcement and even beyond into the federal. There is people want to call it conspiracy theory, man, but no, we're talking about conspiracy facts. You know what I mean? The fact that your black behind is here today in the condition that you're in is a conspiracy. You know what I mean? So let's not act like, we're not dealing with the devil. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, so, but yeah, enough about Diddy. Y'all know I want to get to talk about,
Wait, Mr. Floyd X, I know you got something to say about this. We're not done with Diddy.
Yes, I have a lot to say about Diddy. Listen, man, I watched the documentary, all 4 episodes. I was thinking like, I lived through it. I don't have to watch it. But when I started it, I was like, man, did 50 just trying to do a hit piece? But I'll tell you the truth. It was not a hit piece. It was like the people that was in the documentary were believable, except for maybe 1 or 2. Like Little Rod, I think he was going a little too far. I don't know.
Come on.
I'm just saying, 1 or 2. I was
Craig
like, I can't buy that. Huh?
Craig McWife, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But look.
No, she was believable. I'm sorry, go ahead.
When I watched it, I learned a lot from watching it. Like, truth be told, this is no BS. I believe he has something to do with Tupac's murder now. I do. That's just true. And I mean, I'm somebody like, get out of here with that nonsense. But when you listen to them brothers, particularly the one that helped him start Bad Boy, I could see the relationship. I could see the bullying tactics that P. Diddy used. It's sad. And when you have so much power, you're making so much money, and you got all these people around you that follow you and do as you wish, it's hard to, I believe it's hard for you to stay focused and conduct yourself like a normal or standard human being would in certain situations. In those situations,
tell me this then: why when it shows up in whiteface and Trump, it gets praised, but when it shows up in a black man, it's condemned? This gangster.
Who praises Trump?
Who?
Somebody,
I need the same people, regardless, of color. It's going to look at the situation the same.
But let me answer. It's the same group. It's the same system. I think Trump is under the same system. He got people that kiss his ass all day.
But what system are we talking about? Who controls the whole entire music?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Listen. I'm gonna clip this. Because it was like what Afro Agnostic said last week. The Jews.
I didn't say that. I'm saying
for the Afro Agnostic.
That is hilarious.
Is what I'm saying.
It was.
Wait, Infamous El Pooh. Go ahead. You give your take, and I'm gonna give my take afterwards. But go ahead. What you got to say about this Diddy situation?
It was only one thing I learned from this whole thing, and Cat Williams said it the best.
He didn't be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no.
Tell him no.
I had a bunch of issues with this stuff. I'm glad that you brought up that sister in the beginning. That that he filmed her, and he's like literally just broadcasting this in front of people. You know what I'm saying? Just basically destroying the sister. Yep. And I mean, I get it. I just get it. Young kids doing stupid stuff. He said he was motivated by seeing what Alpo was doing. But I mean, dude, you're destroying this sister over here. This is nothing about this okay. Then you're talking about the dude where he pressured him to give up them shares. And they're like, well, you waited too late. All this. How? Okay, so what did he get for it? How is it not pressure? He's just going to give it up just for funsies? You know what I'm saying? This is like a ridiculous type of situation. But what really pissed me off is the jury. When the sister is sitting there talking about that she was kidnapped, they're like, wow, I don't know if we believe that. That's just a far-fetched concept. You don't think that he went there and pressured her and, he had a gun and whatever. I mean, this shows you, we always say in the legal community, the jury is 12 people not smart enough to get out of jury duty. It's just like the way that they rationalize things, it's tough. So I'm just saying, as defense loves to go to the jury because all you're doing is just confusion. You just throw a whole bunch of stuff and they just get lost in whatever. So I mean, it's a crazy system. Those dudes disgusted the hell out of me how they processed this stuff. But it just showed you, like Walk said, who's defending Diddy? You know who is defending Diddy? The fans, the people that were showing up there with signs saying free Diddy. Go ahead.
Nice guy. Only thing I disagree with you as far as the jury goes is he wasn't on trial for the stuff we saw in the documentary, right?
I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. They said they did not believe that homegirl was kidnapped and taken to whatchamacallit's house. Yeah, to Kid Cudi's house.
Kid Cudi.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It just that was my issue. That it's not about the trial and stuff like that. The trial played out just how it should have played out. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even talking about that. But as far as not believing this sister, that was crazy. I can hear some noise. I'm probably gonna have to mute myself. But go ahead. And if you what, Student X, what you want to talk? Which one you want to get to?
Actually, I want to close this out real quick, if you all don't mind. And that is that we're really. Excuse my language, but pisses me off. The quote, my brother is that I listen to the outrage that you have as far as what you're learning about, like what this man was doing, to the victims and everything, and it's terrible, it's bad. But what I'm really upset about is the lack of coverage. Well, first of all, I would start with, I'm gonna blame the media first, is the lack of coverage of, instead of falling in sensationalism and being distracted, the lack of coverage of the efforts to recover the 500,000 missing children that, when they came through this border that turned up missing and ended up all type of places and whatnot. These recovery efforts that's been taking place under the Trump administration, and what has been discovered to where, in one case, a little girl that was being kept since she was a 2-year-old in a cage. They found her now at 8 years old, and of course she was being offended multiple times, and every time the gentleman would offend her, he would put out a cigarette on her, and so all over her whole body when they recovered her, she was in had cigarette burns all over and whatnot. But we're not outraged about that. We're not focused on that. We have a wickedness and an evil in this country that it is in our community in many aspects, the human trafficking that's there, and this is way deeper and way bigger than goddamn Diddy. You know what I mean? Way, and then for us to just, brush it over, Diddy is a puppet. A little Muppet, I call him. He's like a little small figure in this whole thing, but yet he's being blown up here to be like he's the mastermind and like something's really being accomplished here. There are way bigger players in this. It goes all the way into our government, and it's ridiculous that we're going to keep turning our head and act like this doesn't exist. And want to label it conspiracy theory.
This is new black media, and we dealing with our black people. Like, we get it that it goes deeper. I agree totally with you. Epstein, all that stuff. But we talking about Diddy because Diddy is one of ours. And this is to stop future Diddies from diddling around with diddling people. You know what I'm saying?
Amen. We can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. I'm sure that we can be outraged at all of this stuff. I don't think that we should be turning a blind. We should be turning a blind eye to nothing. You are an example of someone.
I want to ask Student X: Is Epstein was Epstein a big fish?
Not at all. He was a little muppet in the game too.
Who name a big fish?
Bro, you had the CIA. How about that? How about that? You gotta go deeper. You gotta go deeper. This goes into governments and networks, throughout the world when you're talking about criminality.
Who is big enough to stop the CIA on this planet?
Bro, look. I don't believe it's on the planet. I don't believe it's on the planet. When you start looking at the faith community, that they say that in the so-called end times that a problem has to be so big that the people have to submit and say that only God Almighty can solve this problem. You know what I mean? That's what the faith community says. You know what I mean? And if that's true, it seems as if, that we should impact.
We should, like Nice Guy said, let's focus on what we can.
Amen to that.
I just want to, a quick little bow, because some of what I was agreeing with some of what Student X said, but you going on, you attribute to some darkness force and the devil and some mysterious force, God is the solution. That's very problematic. This is really just human trafficking. A man-controlled institution, and it needs to be put under the microscope, and people need to go after it and try to see how our values as men, talking about personal collective responsibility, promote this type of stuff, man. And that I was in 2 professional settings. One person who was my authority showed me news that I didn't even, they were unsolicited. These things that you're pointing out that Diddy did is a lot of things that men do in the institutions that men control.
All right. So that having been said, let's pivot on to. I'm gonna give you. You said you want to talk about something else. What was the thing? What was the something else of the remaining topics that you want to talk about?
Hey, we can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. Especially since we're gonna have another show, we could go a little longer. So however you want to do it, brother, I'm ready.
Okay, so let's talk about these comments. You want to play the video from Juelz Santana? You know what? No. Let's play Trump's comments. You talk about someone who's powerful and has impact. Mr. Floyd X, are you there? Can you cue that up? And if not, maybe infamous El Poo. I think we lost both of our producers. Hold on. Let me go to the things and see if I can take care of it myself. All right. Video. Here we go. So this is going to be, I think this is it.
Off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year. Billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad.
So this goes on and on and on. And you know, Brother Walk, I think I'm gonna give you first bite at this apple. What's your response to those comments?
That's my response. I'm rolling with the Hound Chain.
I regret. All right, that's it. That's your whole comment, brother. Afro Agnostic, what you got to say about this?
I mean, this is just like a continuation of comments that he's made about women, LGBTQ, Antifa, immigrants, you know, all this, you know, Democrats as political enemies. Mexicans are murderers, rapists. Haitians eat dogs and cats. Somalians are garbage. They're destroying Minnesota. I mean, and it just reminds me of the rhetoric that I heard when I read the book, The Turner Diaries. I highly promote that because that far right psychology is all in the book. And when you see what's going on right now, you see that like in real time. And Trump is, you know, from the Muslim ban, when he gave the State of the Union address, every example of waste and corruption was in Africa. 70% of the countries were in Africa. You know, so this is just part of the campaign to, you know, to keep white people in power, to keep numerical superiority. And that's why they're going.
Infamous El Poo, I'm going to give you an early bite at the apple. What you got to say about this? I need to step away for a moment.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'm just say I'm tired of this shit. And one more thing I got to say is we got about 13 days until. Oops. Okay, I'm sorry. We got about 13 days until the Epstein files are supposed to be released. So this is just a big old distraction.
What do you mean when you say that? 13 days, what's that supposed to mean?
They have to the 19th to actually have those files released.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. So
that's all you got to say, brother Pooh?
Come on, let's go, student next.
Come on, bro. You tap into that motion, brother. Because you had something to say when we was talking about this earlier in the week. You know what I mean? And I you know, it was on your heart, brother. Did something change?
Which topic are we on? The Trump on Somalia?
Yeah.
I want to hear student next.
El Pooh know what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, bro. I mean, it's just is what it is. It's just a bunch of nonsense. He just came. It came out of nowhere. Number one, nothing prompted this. He just all of a sudden just wanted to jump on the Somalians and everything for no reason at all.
Well, it was technically a reason. You know, there was an ICE operation that was going on in Minnesota. It was tied to like some fraud allegations, like in the COVID relief scams and whatnot. And then, you know, keep in mind, you know, that over in Somalia, you know, there is some killing going on, and they lost control. They lost some control over their peoples up over there, you know. But you know, the thing is that, well, I was kind of representing. I'm not gonna put my brother on blast, you know, but I do believe, you know, that this will and is something that is going to lead to a larger movement, you know, on the so-called Black community. And everyone knows that, you know, I definitely didn't vote for Kamala, you know, or the Democrats, but I didn't vote for Trump either. You know, I don't trust none of them. You know, I will say that, but I do know that, you know, the key quote that you all missed was at the very end of that clip brother played. It got cut out. The brother said, or not Trump, the brother, you know, Trump said, our country is at a tipping point. Our country is at a tipping point, and what a lot of us don't seem to understand is that, you know, that America is falling. You know, she, like right now through Trump's own actions, ironically, it used to be safe to go and buy a condo out there inside of New York, you know, and then, you know, people buy these rich people would just buy a whole building because they can save their money there and let it grow and whatnot. But now with different policies where, you know, Trump is showing that he could just go and grab people's resources and wealth and whatnot and everything, these, you know, conflicts and whatnot and that are being promoted, the fact that the BRICS nations are on the rise, you know, and people are backing away from America and the dollar, you know, there's so many headwinds that are going on, you know, that, you know, America is lacking. And so as she's lacking resources, she's trillions of dollars in the debt. You know what I mean? You know, like, you know, economically, you know, some of what he was promoting before, it's unlikely that she mathematically could ever come out of debt. You know,
do the next. Did y'all play the? I had to step away. Did y'all play the clip already?
Yeah, they played the clip. That's what I'm saying. So on the clip, the end of the clip, my whole point is America is at a turning point. She is suffering, and so she's gonna start turning to, you know, whatever she feels like is dead weight. You know what I mean? And best believe, you know, that, you know, there are those in power and authority. I don't think it's the general masses of everybody, you know what I mean? Although obviously we have some people, you know, who are racist, you know, in America, you know, there's no doubt about that. But there are a lot of people who aren't. But the bottom line is that, you know, it does look like that this is the beginning of something greater. You know, and you know, something greater.
The beginning of something great?
So something greater.
Greater.
Something greater. Now
Getting rid of all the Somalis out of Minnesota is the start of something great.
No,
Greater.
He didn't listen to
Listen to what I'm saying. That this is the first of a domino to fall, is what I'm saying. So
not against the
greater.
Somalis,
right now, you don't just go round up everybody at once. You have to segmentize, you know, and categorize the demographics and hit them and whatnot. But the goal is essentially, like, I can guarantee you, like, our prison population already right now, they're already floating the idea of sending them, you know, not in America, but sending them elsewhere because they'll be cheaper to the house.
So when you say something great, you mean something big.
I said greater, ER, greater.
So
greater or greater activity, you know, or more. Remember, great is not synonymous with good.
Okay,
you know
that's what I'm trying to clarify. You're not saying good. You're saying bigger.
Exactly.
Okay. Do the next. He went to LA Unified School District.
Ouch. Who was just talking? Who was just talking?
Oh man!
And make no mistake
about
it.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm in a time warp. You know, he's describing, you know, this one country called the United States as the America projecting that hegemony. You know, this our and she referring to the land as she, just like other types of property. I mean, obviously we're at the tipping point is whites are no longer the vast majority of the population. You know what I'm saying? 20, 30 years ago, they were 78. Now they're 50 something. And that's what's driving this whole MAGA movement and so forth. We know that empires on average last about 250 years. So yeah, that is, you know, it is about that time. But it's, you know, again, this is so much ambiguity, so much magic and mythology. These are just basic historical, concrete, material things that are taking place right now.
So I was removed. So I don't know if AB, you got to speak on this. You saw Trump, what he said about the Haitians. I mean, sorry, with the Somalians.
I did. I don't have a comment. I get really emotional. I honestly feel like Trump is in the early stages of dementia. He's a crazy old man, and I'm just shocked that he's been allowed to say what he wants, do what he wants. The other day, he said people are bitching. I've never heard a sitting president say people are bitching at a press conference. So I have no comment.
He called that one lady Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
On TV, on camera, and they have no concern for it.
I want to say these statements are not just like bad or immoral. They have real material consequences. Jasmine Crockett, right winger, they came to her office, threatened her. That was recently. There have been a lot of death threats. Death threats have increased for Omar, you know, the Congress, the Somalian.
The MGT lady, MGT.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she said, we've been fighting Trump this whole time. You just stopped fighting him for just this little moment, and your ass had to get security and all this other stuff. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, exactly.
Crazy, man.
Well, what he said, the things he doing, what he said was very unpresidential. That's really what's going on. Like even when he said about Israel and the Ukraine, where like the people who are running are idiots, you know what I'm saying? It's like unconventional and unpresidential, but
not only that though, you know that people are going to be targeted because of your words, just like Charlie Kirk did. That was part of his strategy to pressure people out of institutions and so forth. Put them on the list, their death threats go up, they get scared, and other types of pressures, emails, all that type of stuff, man. That's what he's doing. So it's not just empty words.
So is he doing it for the youth or for the white people? Which one?
Well, there's a midterm election coming up. He has to bolster his base, which is racist MAGA people. So you do things like that to bolster your base.
I have a question. Based off what we said and what Student X said, something greater is coming. As far as us as Black people in America, what should we be doing right now?
Thank you, brother. That was my question too, brother. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Chilling.
Who go? No, nice guy. You want to go first on that question, brother?
What we should be doing is holding the real villains accountable. We need to call out every single thing. I know that there is the concept of microcosm and macrocosm. There is an issue of focusing. I get that, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, it's like surgery. You know, you got to deal with the direct problem on a problem by problem basis. And I'm just saying that the people that have been basically telling us to our face, they don't care about whether we, you know, get justice with the police or whether we get economic, you know, equality or any of this stuff. It's pretty clear who the talking heads are that are working against our interests. At the end of the day, we need to do what we can for ourselves, but we need to put pressure on them, and we need to basically put people that are actually defending our interests in positions of power. So it's really a bunch of things. It's not just one thing. It's a bunch of things. But Alpha Agnostic, you seem like you had some fervor for this, so I'm gonna give you.
Oh yeah, yes. I mean, the first thing
yeah, me too. After, please.
Okay, is you got to join the organization. You know, everything that Nice Guy just said, you can't do it alone as a lone soldier. You must join the organization who has some type of mission campaign to fight against these interests, these values that are being promoted and advanced by MAGA. So, and also, if you can't join, you can't be an active participant, then find one and donate on a monthly basis.
Student X.
You know, everything that both of you all said, you know, is wonderful, but you know, I should say not but however, you know, there is a prerequisite, you know, and that prerequisite is that there's nothing that can be accomplished if there's not first the body is organized. You know, first and foremost, you know, like there has to be like a unified effort to, you know, not just, you know, now if it's joining an organization and the organizations then, you know, report their role or whatnot to it has to be like, you know, the people have to become organized, you know, in terms of being able to get data, information. That's the first step. You know, if you're not organized, there's nothing you could do, you know, so that's number one. And that's an effort in and of itself.
Mr. Walk, you got something to add to that? What should we be doing as Black people in preparation of what's to come?
Ain't nothing to come, man. Ain't nothing. God bless the United States.
AB, what do we need to do?
I agree with Student X, but how do we get started? You know, I worked in schools, and we're in trouble. I mean, I don't know how we're going to organize. Our communities are not together. It almost feels like people don't want to break that curse of generational poverty.
Sister, do you agree with Brother Afro in joining an organization?
I do, if you can, and donating money if you can. But I don't. I'm just very discouraged. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. What Trump has done and what MAGA has done, it's going to take. It feels like it's going to take decades to turn this thing around. I don't know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Can I respond to this?
I try every day not to be discouraged, but living in Texas, firstly, it's rough.
Yeah, you got a different perspective.
Trumpers and MAGA, and I don't know how we're gonna turn this thing around. I really don't.
Go ahead, Student X.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I know it seems desperate, but like today, I feel like it's easier to accomplish this than ever due to technology. You know, it's so simple to create a registry, you know, and to be able to have a message to be like, hey, you know, we're Black people have to organize roll call. You know, let's have people create an account, make sure there's no duplicity, whatnot. The one thing I know about, you know, the masses of our people is that we've done everything in America and throughout the world, including be president of the United States. You know, so you know, we have all the talent, but first we need to organize this body. And even though, I know that, that we all have different ideologies and whatnot, that could be set aside to look at what is in the greater good, the best interest, of the people, and I think, like I said, but it just starts there. You have to have a roll call, because then the body's going to have to be active in terms of direction, and next steps, and then have to, adopt, principles and law. So we have order, and that's, I think it's easier than ever, but, I just don't see that need, because we have powers that are also working against us that does not want that to happen, at all, and so it's not easy, even though it sounds easy, it definitely takes an effort, but we have more tools today than ever, but we have to have the will of the people. It has to be a desire, something they want to do. And in the teachings of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we was told that this wouldn't happen until the white man was let loose on us.
You
So
think
I
they
want to go back to those religious logical strategies.
Let loose. Let loose. Like, in other words, you have the Bible says it a different way. It says that hateful birds, come home, but basically, the wicked had to be turned on the community and whatnot, and there has to be a mass suffering, casualties to force our unity.
Got it. Go ahead, brother Afro. My bad.
I'm just saying the formula is simple. It's just, social change come from social movements. That's all we've done to change our situation collectively. Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, the Civil Rights movement, the Black Power movement, the largest movements in the latter half of the 20th century and early 21st century have been Black movements. We is our model.
Got you.
Yet we still have the same cry today that we did in the 50s and 60s.
Brother, we have made great advances since then.
Sure,
I will not allow you. I will not
I'm
allow
not
you
going to say we haven't, but I hear the same language and rhetoric in terms of the challenges that we have.
I think you have a Hollywood view of a movement. A movement has detours. It stops. The movement of the 60s is incomplete. It was militarily defeated. So, we pick up and we still continue forward.
So that said military is stronger than today, and then said people are arguably aren't as connected.
It's more spread out too
today, so the odds and probabilities would say that if you keep doing the same thing, you're not gonna get the desired objectives, to be accomplished and goals.
The objective is progress. The objectives are progress.
Yeah, we made progress.
So we're just trying to get more progress. The fact that you have concepts of people talking about woke, all of these things are reflective of basically evolutions of society, of social constructs, of what's okay. So I'm just saying that our children have a much more tolerant perspective on things than maybe a lot of people from our generation. That's an example of evolution and growth. So I'm just saying that there is progress. Just because we have some issues about where the progress is going, that's fine. We can hold this stuff accountable. That's why you'll never see me waving a flag or anything like that. Look, this place needs to get where it needs to get to. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like it hasn't taken great steps. It has taken great steps. I've personally taken great steps. So it's just about basically keeping going forward.
And this is what MAGA is about. I'm sorry. No, I'm saying that's what MAGA is all about, going back, unwinding those gains, pushing back on those gains. That's what they're doing. That's why we have to push back on them.
And we got to remember and not forget that whole Black Lives Matter street that Trump came in and just tore up and lifted and pushed out the way and got rid of and paid like $500,000 or how much money he's paid to get rid of that shit. That was the Black Lives Plaza. That was all part of to erase or undo whatever progress Black people made.
And I think that definitely played a role, but there are those of us that, we, to this day, we learn of the misdeeds of Black Lives Matter. I thought that it was kind of ridiculous in the first place as being someone that, has been, an activist, for many years, in terms of, you couldn't be a heterosexual to even have a leadership position in Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? So original Black Lives Matter, it's like they stole the hashtag we was using and made an organization, and that's what that represents.
There was two.
I wasn't mad.
There was two different aspects to that. There was Black Lives Matter, the movement, the moment.
I just acknowledge that.
No. And then there was Black Lives Matter, the organization. The people were never signing off on that type of stuff. The organization was always.
What do you mean the people was never signing off on that, bro? You kidding me, bro? The George Soros-led protests throughout the whole United States, the twerking, you know what I mean, and all the other stuff, bro. What you talking about?
The masses of people, the Black consciousness were not behind the organization.
The culture was supporting all of that, bro. The culture.
They weren't.
Let me say this.
We weren't.
The hip hop community.
Let me say this.
The politicians.
The hip hop community
on board, bro.
Let me say this to the next. Listen, Candace Owens played a part in pushing back Black progress. So we should not protect Candace Owens at all costs. She was a tool, and she was used, and now whatever she's waking up to is
she murders.
I think she's the mom.
Is not a friend of the Black people still. All she is a combatant of Israel. She is not, in my opinion, a friend of Black people.
Yeah, another more. Exactly.
Yeah, I disagree on that, bro. You already know that. But that's another topic.
So that having been said, have we fully discussed everything that we want to discuss today? Is this a good stopping point?
Yes.
So thank you, AB Bestie, for coming on to the show. You offered a great contribution, and fellas, you guys rock all the time. Brother Walk, you did your thing. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I also want to say, there's this one person that was making these comments. Sometimes it be Afro agnostics, but this person was dropping bombs over here. So
hey, that's big cuz. That's big cuz.
Big cuz. Wait,
hold on. You gotta want to talk about Trump pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez? I thought that was a big thing for you guys.
Good topic. Yeah.
Y'all want to go on?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Then you want?
I think that's a serious one, a great one. But it's up to you guys.
Student X. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. Student X.
I mean, when you say the floor is mine, it's just, I just dive right into it. I absolutely found, significant contradictions.
Let me set the stage for you, brother. Okay, so with the release of the president who went to jail for selling drugs, he was extradited to America. Let me show that picture where he was extradited. His country put him in handcuffs and walked him to America. I ain't gonna say walked him to America, but brought him to America, and he went to jail. And then Trump bombing, blowing up little ass boats in the ocean, acting like they on a kill mission to bring drugs to America. They're bombing these little boats, and Trump is saying, I approve of it. We need to do that. And then he frees this drug dealer accused in an American court system. He freed him, let him go, and went about his business. To the next. What do you have to say about that?
Wait, 400. Wait. He the importation. Oh, can you hear me? He helped to facilitate the importation of almost an unfathomable 400 tons of cocaine to the country. So go ahead, student next. The floor is yours.
But you all want to act like it's conspiracy theories when I talk about the government involvement in the drug trade and all type of criminality. But yeah, the contradictions, just as mentioned, are profound. And what's even a greater is the fact that a lot of what Trump has done since he's come in office is absolutely the opposite of what he promoted. The MAGA movement that you guys keep mentioning is practically dead now, because it's a lot of the allies, if you will, have fallen off, and Trump is on a whole nother tangent. God only knows exactly what's going on, but going back to this gentleman here, is he's every bit of who he was. He was under control of the empire, and a tool of the empire, and Trump got his instructions, and let him out. And they probably have plans for him back in his country, but there is a lot of just geopolitical fallout.
Let me ask you this, Student X. How does this play into Venezuela? Why do you think releasing him is a play to get inroads into Venezuela?
Yeah, no, the two are, I believe, unrelated, in regards to that, except for the fact that if you look at the U.S.'s involvement in Latin America through the years, they've always been, trained to cause chaos, in these environments, and it was usually for, economic benefit, from various companies, here in South America, whether it be the drug trade or whether it even be, companies like Coca-Cola, and things of that nature. So, this right here, again, Venezuela, that's something that I don't see him doing too much with that until after the midterm elections, because, for him to really do something and have that go sideways, then, politically he's done. At that point. So he has to wait for the elections to happen. And maybe after that, he'll do something. The problem is that Russia, China, and Iran support of Venezuela and all the different, in particular, defensive systems, that's been put in, as well as arming, local militias and even their own troops, a lot of drones have been deployed, I think is going to just make it, less likely to happen, but, we'll see. Who knows?
Afro agnostic.
Afro.
I saw
the burning inside.
Go ahead, Brother Afro.
On one hand, you know what it is. Rich white people don't go to jail. They get the lightest sentences. They get the most exonerations, the most clemency, the most commutation. This reminds me of Lucky Luciano, stone cold gangster, racketeering, human trafficking, sentenced to 50 years. What do? They let him out. Why? Because he had something to do that was of interest to the political interests of the United States, helping to inroads into Italy and getting that Mussolini and the fascists. So we know. I wish they would have did Tookie Williams like that, because he would have been a benefit to the black community.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. I went to Tookie Williams.
Represent their interests. But lastly, this was more than just quid pro quo. This is absolutely an attempt to get more Latin American countries stacked up in the OAS to put pressure on Venezuela, because it ain't about narco-terrorism. It's not about cocaine. It's about that oil. They only
now, the OAS is an oil organization of South America, right?
The organization of American. It's the organization of the Americas. Canada is in it. United States.
Oh, Canada's part of it too.
Kick Venezuela out. So they've been putting pressure. They used to have a real tight relationship before Hugo Chavez.
Right. My boy.
They attempted to overthrow him. He kicked Exxon and Mobile and all them out.
I remember that.
And that's the whole issue. Presidente Maduro is just continuing that tradition from Hugo Chavez.
And they try to put that Nobel Prize winner up next.
Guaido. Just real quick, this is what the point I think that's missing in Student X analysis. Right-wing governments are pro the United States all throughout Latin American history. They've been meddling and involvement and militarily intervening in South America and the Caribbean since the 19th century. Of the 30-something countries down there, they've invaded 70% of them.
Wow.
So this is just U.S. imperialism.
But brother, the America created a school. It was called the School of Americas, where they would bring all these dictators.
That's a part of it.
Yeah. Well, it's a big part of it.
You're right. Correct.
Yeah, based in Fort Benning, Georgia. They were bringing these various dictators and their you can't call them armies, but they're henchmen, if you will. And they would train them in terrorism and urban guerrilla warfare, interrogation, combat intelligence. They would teach tactics like manipulation of food, water, and sleep, electric shot, execution of guerrillas and informants, blackmail, extortion, threat of death of immediate. I mean, man, it was just, a group. But it's funny that you mentioned Lucky Luciano too, because this has been going on. Lucky, I actually met one of his family members it's a long story. I'll tell you this on the sidelines, in Seattle, but Lucky, he led a group of young Italian Jewish mobsters, the Mustache Pete's, and so, it goes on, there's ties, that ties into Messiah and everything as well, too. So, interesting history, and this whole thing. But the bottom line is,
look, man, that was before Messiah existed, though.
Yeah, before the origin. Origin. Before Messiah existed, you got to look at who the parties were, the gangsters, if you will, that came together that essentially formed the Messiah.
I'm saying,
but just in general, that's why I always look at us, and I'm like, man, like, do we not understand that these people we're dealing with, even if what kind of agreement can we reach with them when they're known liars and deceivers? They break every treaty that in existence. They're untrustworthy. So like, what sort of arrangement can you ever really make with them? So the arrangement
we're talking about Russia,
the people themselves. And with me, I've segued. I've made it to where I'd rather go where our people will be wise enough to organize, form a body, and then become a nation within a nation. But we're not going to do that. Then then I gravitate to those that share ideology, and thought process, and organize and move in that fashion. Which seems like that's going to be the more likely successful route, because I just I don't see any signs or signals that our people is really ready to do what needs to be done, which again is organize into a body and ultimately behind, adopt, practices and tactics that it will promote our rise. And so we'll see.
Cool.
Go ahead. I don't know what to say, man. But definitely, first step, just as a first step, join an organization who has mission and a campaign or goals that reflect your interests and your values.
Perfectly stated. We out. See y'all next week.